Hi, this is Jeff with Birder's Diary. In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to import sightings from any other application or program into Birder's Diary. In order to do this, the sightings data needs to be in CSV format. CSV format stands for comma separated values. If you open a CSV file in a text editor, this is what one might look like. The first row is a list of column names or column headers separated by commas. The first one you can see is name, then quantity, then heard only, sighting note, and so on. The remainder of the rows are data that applies to each of those column headers. So you can see that in the second row here, violet-crowned hummingbird is the name, comma, quantity is 54. Heard only is empty here, it's just comma, comma. Sighting note, 2601 meters altitude. Date and time, 2/11/16, and so on. That's what it would look like in a text editor. Now, if you open this instead in Excel, here's what Excel does for you. Excel can read that file and break it into rows and columns. A little bit more reader friendly. And you can see that the first row, again, are the column headers, the names of the columns. And then every row after that is a new record for that data. So in this example, I saw 54 violet-crowned hummingbirds, I wish, on February 11th, 2016, at this latitude and longitude, location home. So that's what that would look like if you open that in Excel. For this demonstration, I'm going to be using one of my favorite mobile apps for recording bird sightings in the field. This is Birdwatcher's Diary. Yeah, I know, Birdwatcher's Diary. I'm Birder's Diary, they're Birdwatcher's Diary. You can get to their site at stevenscreek.com/birdwatchersdiary.htm. You can also see that this is available on both iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, and Android. It's quite functional software as apps go these days, and I really like the abilities in it. One of the best abilities is to email me a CSV file that I can import directly into Birder's Diary with very little effort. And the resultant CSV file is what I've been showing you all along, in both text format and within Excel, as shown here. It's just some dummy data I recorded for the purposes of this video tutorial. Now, with all that preamble out of the way, let's get down to doing what you came here to do, which was simply import your sightings. In this case, from Birdwatcher's Diary app. First things first. The first thing you need to do is open the CSV file, either in a text editor or in Excel. I'll use Excel here, it makes it a little easier, and rename the column headers to the column headers that Birder's Diary expects. The second thing you need to do is to save that file, and finally the third thing is to simply import the sightings. Okay, so first things first. What are those Birder's Diary column headers that it expects? There's an easy way to find out. You go up here to File and bring up the Import-Export window. Choose the Sightings tab if it's not already selected, and then click on List Column Names. Here's a list of the column names you need. The required minimum are first name, last name, so that should match your observers. In this case, sample observer that I'm using here. Then scientific or common name and location. That's all that's required in order to import sightings. There are also a slew of additional fields that you can use. You can specify, in terms of sighting fields, first name, middle initial, last name, initials, but they're all superfluous. You can specify parent location. In other words, if you're importing sightings that have a location that's not already in your database, it might serve you to specify a parent location that is in your database so it knows to attach that automatically. Don't worry if not, Birder's Diary will ask you. date and time, min observed, max observed, sighting comments, and finally life list disabler. A word about counts. If you don't specify a count field in your import, then the default value for min and max is 1. If you specify one and not the other, then the other will be set to that value you specified. Okay, there's also trip fields. If you want these things assigned to a trip, whether it's already exists in your database or not, define the trip. If you don't define the start and end dates, one will be set for you. Trip comments and potentially a trip parent. And here's a really neat feature. User-defined fields. If you have a column name that matches a user-defined field in Birder's Diary, that will get imported to that user-defined field in Birder's Diary. I'm going to show you. So let's take a look here at user-defined fields. View, user-defined sightings data. Notice I have two user-defined fields that are text values called latitude and longitude. If my import file has those same columns, that data will get imported to those values. Okay? Then there's a heard only field. Now, if the column header in the CSV file either matches the name or the abbreviation you specify, it will get imported. And I'll show you that shortly. Okay, so let's edit the CSV file in order to change the column headers. I'm going to use Excel and open the CSV file in Excel. It's just easier. Here we go. Now if you remember, Birder's Diary doesn't look for something called name, it looks for something called sci or common name, short for scientific or common name. Okay? Either value works there. On quantity, it's either min observed or max observed. Doesn't matter which you choose, the other value will be set to the same thing. So I'll choose min observed. Now on heard only, that's not a standard field in Birder's Diary, but I do have a user-defined field, UDF, by that name. So we're going to have that imported. And just for fun, I'm going to say that I'm going to change this data. I'm going to say that Cassin's Finch was heard only. Okay? So I don't have to change that. That already matches my name. Sighting note. Well, in Birder's Diary, we're looking for sighting comments. And not date, comma, time, but date and time. Latitude and longitude, I already have user-defined fields with that name. So I'll leave those alone and they'll get imported with my sightings. We're not looking for full location name, we're looking for location. And that's good, and home. Now, these other fields I don't want or need. So I can just leave them there or delete them. In this case, I'm just going to delete them. Now, don't forget, there's one other thing we need, and that's first name and last name. And for this, I'm going to say sample, observer, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that value all the way down. Copy, paste, and we're done. Now let's save this. I'm going to save it as BWD Sightings for BD. I've already got one by that name, so I'll just replace it. Do you want to keep using this format? I sure do. Okay, we're done with step 1 and 2. I've renamed the column headers, and if I don't have a typo, we're in good shape. And I've saved it as another file. So let's import those sightings. Here we are back to Birder's Diary. I've still got the import-export data window open, and if you remember, I got there from here. File, import, export. So all we need to do now is to choose this option for importing sightings. Exporting sightings is up in that box, importing is down here, all the options for that. This option is import sightings from CSV formatted file. And as with everything in Birder's Diary, you get a pop-up tooltip giving you a little more information about it. You see that this is enabled, the taxonomy field is enabled, but the observer field is disabled because you're specifying the observer in the file. We need to select the taxonomy, that we want to use for name matching. Could be ABA, AOU, or Clements. We'll just use Clements 15. Okay, and let's import. I choose my file, BWD Sightings for BD. I click open, and 9 sightings imported. How easy was that? All of those guys are imported. Now let's take a look at those sightings that we just imported. So I'm going to close the import-export window. I'm going to bring up View Edit. Clear the data filter so it clears everything over here in the data filter box. Select Clements Cornell. I'm going to select Sample Observer. Let's set the sort options. We don't want to sort by order of entry. Let's sort by taxonomic ascending and date ascending. Click Continue. There you've got it. We've got our latitude and longitude imported, and we also have the herd only ticked for Cassin's Finch. Location set to home, observer sample observer, our comments are there, our counts are there, max count was set to min count. You've done it. And that's all it takes. Please note also that with version 4.1, there is complete integration of eBird importing and exporting of sightings data from eBird to Birder's Diary. You no longer have the need for the eBird toolkit. For example, to export sightings to eBird import format so that you can import those sightings into eBird, you simply use View Edit as you would normally. Click Continue, and let's say we want to export all of these sightings to eBird. Select them all, and now click this new button, Export Selected Records to eBird. Click on it, and now you get to select from any of 4 different protocols, fill in the pertinent information, and then it will create a CSV file that can be imported into eBird. Very handy. In addition, there are buttons up here with links to go to the eBird website as well as instructions on how to import into eBird. Very handy. Now, how about importing from eBird into Birder's Diary? This takes us back to File, Import Export, choose the Sightings tab, and there's a new option down here called Import Sightings from eBird Formatted CSV, along with a button that opens the eBird website with further instructions. Birder's Diary recognizes the 3 eBird formats that you're likely to use: all observations, checklist format, and record format. It automatically recognizes the format, so you don't have to tell it what format it is. All you have to do is tell it what taxonomic list you want to use for name recognition and the observer to import. There's also some options here for adding miscellaneous eBird data, ignoring spews, hybrids, and slashes, and auto-assigning subspecies group sightings to full species. Then you simply click the Import button. And your eBird sightings are now in Birder's Diary. It's that simple. Hope you enjoy this. Also, please note that BirdLog, the original field mobile app for recording your sightings in the field and uploading to eBird, will also export your sightings to CSV file format and mail them to you. These sightings can be imported automatically and recognized automatically using this new eBird import feature. The new replacement app for BirdLog is just the eBird app. It currently does not have a feature for exporting and mailing a CSV file to you. It can only upload your sightings to eBird. However, with that done, using the eBird app, you can then export your sightings out of eBird from the website and import them here using this feature. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this.